Senator's here along with the commissioner. I think he's got an interest in one or two of these bills that we're going to do. I'm going to ask Representative Bruce Williamson to lead us in prayer, please.
Let's pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the gift of this day, Lord, that we pray that your holy hand of protection will be on each individual here and all of our families, Lord. We just pray that our work would line up with your will, and all these things we're going to give you the praise, honor, and glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Before we get started, I got a little something I want to say. Number one, we are not voting on Senate Bill 1 this session. And I want to give you a little background on what's happening. Senate Bill 1, the way I interpret it, is bad policy. And I'll just give you one example to tell you how that works and why I think it's bad policy. Under Senate Bill 1, as it's currently written, if you have 100 6-year-old autistic children in a room, the way Senate Bill 1 is written, only 15 to 17 will get treatment. The other 85 to 70 or 83 will not. Because as when the sponsor of the bill presented, he said 15 to 17% would get treatment under his bill. So that means 85% or 83 won't. And that's wrong. How are you going to explain that to that other 85% of those kids and those kids' parents? And the way the bill is currently written also, it goes 3 through age 6. You have 100 kids, a 7-year-old, none of them get treated. I'll tell you what I've done. I've asked Legislative Council to draw up legislation, and I think Rick Ruskell is doing it currently as we speak, since he's the Legislative Council for Ways and Means. And I'll probably drop this bill tomorrow. Now, this legislation will allow the citizens of Georgia an opportunity to vote a 0.2% sales tax toward the funding of autism treatment. Now, normally 1 penny or 1% will bring in $1.3 to $1.5 billion. 0.2% will bring in $200 to $300 million. That's the proposal. Under that particular plan, you won't have 85 out of the 100 not being treated. You'll have all 100 being treated because you'll have adequate funding to do it. Second part of that, we're not limiting it from 3 to 6. My plan calls to bring it down to 2. Well, we had somebody testify the other day that their child got diagnosed with autism at 18 months. Under the current legislation, Senate Bill 1, that child could not be treated until they're 3. I expect that child to be treated when they get diagnosed. Now, I know y'all have been harassed by the children on the other side of the Capitol because of some of your bills being delayed and this kind of stuff. Under this new option that I'm proposing, it will treat all autistic Georgia children from age 2 through 18. Now, putting it in kind of blunt words, it's time for everybody to either put up or shut up. We're going to give you an option. We're going to give everybody an option. We can all sign on and get this thing taken care of, or we can do things like Senate Bill 1. And I'm not voting Senate Bill 1 out. Bad policy. I'm not telling 85% of the kids who potentially need autism treatment that you can't have it. I'm not going to do that. So when this bill gets dropped, and I'm going to make this same statement on the House floor this morning, when this thing gets dropped, I'd like for all the insurance committee to sign if you're so inclined. If you don't, that's okay too. We're going to proceed with it. We're going to look at it because we can't do any tax legislation now because it has to be on Ways and Means by day 20, and this is way past day 20. We're going to look at it over the summer, fall, and have it ready to go first part of the next session. But we're going to address an issue and not just do it piecemeal. I'm not going to play politics on this thing. I'm not going to get emotional about this thing. We're going to take it and we're going to look at it and we're going to address it and address it right. Then it's a matter of getting it sold to the public. 0.2%, that's not bad. If you're so inclined to vote for it. So that's where we're heading on this, but we are not voting on Senate Bill 1. But we are going to take a look at doing a sales tax in order to fund it. And my plan calls it from funding it from age 8 through 18. 2 through 18, right. And if necessary, I'll drop it down to 18 months if they can be diagnosed at 18 months. Okay, y'all have heard enough from me. We got a couple of bills, a couple of senators here to present it. I hope y'all take this back to y'all's leadership over there. Normally if we were like the Senate, we wouldn't even hear these two bills. We'd let them put in bed until they pass something of ours over there. But we're not going to do that. All right. Who's got House Bill 108? Come on up. Mr. Rogers, I see your light's been blinking.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I wanted Senator Martin to bring us all up to date. I did have the privilege of going through Senate rules yesterday and got a nice tongue thrashing from the chairman. So and he probably needs to bring us up to date on why. He was asking all of us if we served on the insurance committee. Of course, I said I did. So probably be a good idea to him bring us up to date how adamant the chairman is about Senate Bill 1. And I think after you've said your piece, he needs to explain the posture they're in over there. So it would be good. Well, the rest of the committee would know this.
Well, I would never.
And before y'all get started, this is the senator's first bill.
That's good. But he's a former elected official, so he knows how the game's played. So
I do, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Chairman Smith, I appreciate your words and your attempt at a solution, and I look forward to talking about that going forward. Is this on? It is on. As far as the leadership, I cannot speak for the leadership's posture specifically, and I would not want to put words in Chairman Mullis.
But you heard what Senator Mullis was saying.
I did. He is.
Why don't you repeat it? Why don't you repeat it to the ones that hadn't been in the rules?
I'd hate to misquote him. I would hate.
No,
to
you won't. I'll correct you.
But he is passionate about his. He is passionate about the bill. Many of us are passionate about the bill, and as I said, I appreciate your offer of solution, and what you say does sound like a good solution, and I look forward to talking about it as we go forward.
Did you hear what I said in there yesterday?
I heard some of it.
What
there were
did
a
I
lot
say?
of people that said, well, I know that you said that you would kind of pass the message back, but
I talked to the lieutenant governor.
That's right.
And I talked to the author twice.
That's right.
And I talked to the chairman here.
That's right.
That's right. Okay.
No, I understand. These are tough issues that we face.
You have a short memory.
And we were very well. There's a lot to remember in this place.
Can I make a motion that we ask some questions?
But what I would, we also, I think we tackled a tough position that was very dear to the House yesterday, HB1, and I was proud to vote for that, and I hope that made you guys proud to see us work together on that bill, which I thought was a very
That didn't come through the
way.
insurance committee, but
It did not.
Okay, go ahead and
Would you like to hear about SB
Yes, yeah, I
108?
would. I would like to hear about it.
Very good. Well, I am P.K. Martin, represent District 9. A lot of you already know me. I'm here to present SB 108, which establishes an own risk solvency assessment for insurance carriers. This is a department bill. Jay pulled me aside and asked me if I would carry this very early in my career, and I said I would. And as I've dug deeper into this, I feel like it's a very good piece of legislation. This will provide our insurance department a new tool, and it asks for large insurance carriers to look at themselves in a deeper manner. Basically, what they need to do is look deeper into their balance sheets, look into their investments, and look into the things that they're insuring, the risks that they're insuring, and basically see if there are any warning signs there. They basically issue a report, and they submit that to the insurance commissioner on an annual basis. This is an NAIC model bill. It's been adopted already in 20 other states. There's a lot of verbosity to this bill. Most of that is due to the sensitive information that the insurance carriers are expected to share. And it talks about how the information is shared, who it can be shared with, how it's to be handled, and also speaks to the fact that it needs to remain confidential because there are a lot of trade secrets in here that could pose a risk if they were made public to the way that the insurance carriers do business. So those are the basics. If you'd like me to go line for line, I can. However, I will answer any questions.
This is an accreditation type bill, right? Commissioner, you want to come up?
I guess.
You want to come up?
Me?
Yes.
Sure. It's always a pleasure to appear before this distinguished committee.
I'll have some questions now.
Oh, okay.
I was hoping to get it passed out of committee today.
Yeah. But this is part of y'all's accreditation program,
Yes, sir.
right?
It is, from the NAIC.
I know.
But I'm going to ask you, as I ask a group of agents when I talk to them, let's don't play a game called Stump the Commissioner.
I don't do that. I can't. So, we got a couple of questions. Number 20. That's you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Mr. Chairman. You had some exemptions in there. Could you just go over that quickly?
Yeah, the exemptions are basically, let me get over to the right spot here.
I can tell you the most important exemption is that it's for small companies that write less than $500 million
Right.
in premium.
Okay.
And they are going to still stay on what we call the, we're going to, this is ORSA, or the Own Risk Solvency Assessment, and they're going to stay on the formulaic determination on their, that's what all the companies are on now.
Right.
And it is the large companies that are very, very solvent and have lots of capital, it causes them to not be able to invest this capital because they're having to stay in reserves. But the small companies, we feel that they need, on a formulaic or through a formula, they need to maintain those reserves in order to maintain their solvency.
Thank you for helping me understand this.
Yeah.
That's an old joke.
I
Yeah,
got
it
you.
is.
I got you.
Okay, number 23.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do think this is a good bill. I just had a question. It's more technical. Have you made accommodations for how it's going to be filed? Do they do it electronically? Will it be paper, or will the department do that through regulation?
Don't think that's actually
It's not in
the
here.
bill,
I looked.
so that would be in a commissioner's
Okay.
realm there on how it would be submitted.
Will you do that by?
Where'd you go, Jay?
As Senator White said, it is not in the bill.
Right.
If it becomes an issue, I'm sure it's something we'll put in regulation.
Thank you.
22.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Martin, I got to give you, I mean Senator, I wouldn't, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you look good. Certainly wasn't trying to do that. I wanted to rib you a little bit because we go back a few years. I'm proud that you're here. I'm glad that you're here with your first bill. I wish you were here with your first bill that was not a department bill, because I don't like to mess with the commissioner, because
Nor do I like you to mess with.
I like the commissioner very much, and but anyway, this bill, you mentioned that it does have some protections in here for confidential information. So does that mean that it is not this report and this assessment is not subject to the open records laws?
That is correct.
Now, I'm not a lawyer, so sometimes some of this wording gets me a little confused, so I just want to make sure there's nothing in here that would protect the author of the bill, the sponsor, from any type of open records request.
I could say go after him with a vengeance.
I just wanted to...
Other than the protections that we already have as legislators, there's nothing additional in here.
I just wanted to verify that because I know you're pretty slick, but it's good to have you here, and you did a good job in subcommittee presenting this bill as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Number 16. Okay, number 19.
I do love going after the commissioner. He's a dear friend, and he just warms the cockles of my heart to ask him questions. But
May I be excused?
as Yogi Berra said, this seems like a deja vu moment all over again to me. Have we already done something like this with stuff in the committee this year? Was it a same bill that we passed out?
It was another NAIC bill.
But it didn't deal with the same subject matter here? Like I said, it's early in the morning, but I seem to remember all this in... does that all y'all do at these national meetings, just come up with stuff for us to have to deal with down here, sir?
Representative Maxwell, let me tell you.
Tell me, please.
When I was the chairman of the Senate Insurance Committee, I was a member of NCOIL, the National Conference of Insurance Legislators, and I got appointed as the liaison to the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. I went to every meeting at that time. I've been to every meeting since I've been commissioner. I'm leaving Friday to go to one in Phoenix, Arizona, and I can assure you that I am firmly convinced that NAIC means no action is contemplated. It takes longer. It takes longer to get anything through NAIC than anything I've ever seen. You think this process at the Georgia State Capitol is slow? Buddy, that makes molasses look like running water. I tell you what. So
Okay, so we can't expect, nothing will be back next Monday for us to work on next
we
week.
started something 15 or 20 years ago that may come to you.
Okay.
But nothing else this year. If you'll vote this out, we'll be in good shape.
Thank you, sir.
Number 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, when we get through this meeting,
I thought y'all were supposed to be grilling him. This is not my first bill.
well, let me ask you, have you read this bill word by word?
I have read, yes, sir, I have.
Did you read it
But
like
now-
this? Karnak, good bill?
Yes.
Okay.
Johnny
I'm
did
kidding.
that.
Did he? I need to meet with you after this meeting, if I could.
You're certainly welcome
Okay.
to. I will stay through the whole thing.
Okay. Let me ask the senator, have you read this bill word by word?
3 or 4 times, yes, sir.
Okay. So you understand every word and what it means?
This is a trap. Don't
I know,
fall
I
into
understand. I would never, there's some complicated language in here. I've tried to understand it the best I could.
But you read it.
I have read it.
3 or what? What did you say?
I said 3 times, definitely full the way through, and
Okay.
partial at least, probably a 4.
Well, you're a Georgia Tech graduate. You're a smart guy. What did you major in?
International affairs, but don't, Georgia Tech, we're not known for our language arts program.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you finished now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, thank you. Number 16, you...
Well, is that the appropriate time, Mr. Chairman?
Well, I think it's appropriate
Yes,
time.
probably past the appropriate time. But I'd like to make a motion to pass of my my fellow Tech alum's bill here.
That,
Okay,
that's
all-
from
all
one
in-
Georgia Tech
fellow
alum to
Guanetian.
the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Who's carrying it? Mr. Demonstration. Okay. Be sure you go to rules.
I will, yes,
Now.
sir.
There, you got to go fill out a form and talk to the chairman.
I will. I will speak to him.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Senator Stone.
I was going to ask to go first, but I have a appropriations meeting this morning, but we've been hard at work at House bills in both judiciary committees.
Yeah, y'all were working late last night
9 o'clock.
because Senator Bethel and I were communicating by text about
That's
9
right.
o'clock last night.
9 o'clock. It was amazing how much we did. But, and again, this afternoon, we'll have 6 House bills in my judiciary non-civil committee. So we try to stay out of these frays.
Okay.
But I was very impressed with the thought you put into the issue, and I think you're encouraging more dialogue constructively. I just want to thank you for that. Well, that being said, let me talk about the bill. SB 111 deals with communities known as CCRCs. There's continuing care retirement communities. They're regulated by the insurance department because these are typically communities where you buy in and the amount that you pay is somewhat related to your age or your health. It's an actuarial decision, and it's regulated. We've had bills in the last few years that strengthen the reserve requirements, the disclosure requirements for consumers. Last year we had a bill that allowed for more options for seniors through CCRCs, and that was to allow an equity model where you could buy in a unit as part of the continuing care continuum. This bill continues to give seniors more options by allowing CCRCs to provide services at home. They have to do this through licensed and existing home health care providers or obtain a license and CON just like any other provider would. This is something that we think will give seniors more options, although CCRCs generally appeal to upper income groups. It will, I think, allow more people to take advantage of this type of senior care. I'll be happy to try to answer questions. The representative for the industry, Mr. Tom Bauer, is here, and he can probably help you if you have more detailed questions.
Okay, we got a couple of. Mr. Rogers, is your button really pushed?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Senator Stone. Thank you. Senator Stone wasn't in the rules yesterday. He's a nice guy. He really is. I didn't see him anyway.
I wasn't there.
You might have been behind me. Okay. I do have a question on line 38. A continuing care at home agreement may, but is not required to include an obligation of lodging or food. You may need to help me a little bit on that. So,
the level of at-home services.
let Don come on.
Come on up.
Come on up. The level of at-home services can be tailored for the particular consumer, and food. You know, there are already other options for seniors related to food. Mr. Bauer, you want to comment on this?
I'd be happy to. Representative Rogers,
Probably need to use the microphone there.
you made a reference to lodging, which makes me wonder whether you might not have the current version.
What number? What LC number are you looking at?
We were on 3794S.
No, we got the.
We got 1946S.
We have 1946S.
Okay.
That was as passed the Senate. We have.
There's a substitute.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Shaw's subcommittee passed a substitute that they had there, so I had assumed that it would.
Where is it?
Be in front.
He did.
Just tell me you weren't there.
They're gonna go through a drive-in window, is that what we're gonna do? For food?
No, sir.
Well, I have 2 copies, but we can explain the changes that were made between the as-passed. There were wordsmith changes and not substantive changes.
Mr. Chairman, we probably could just do this in the ante room if you want to do that once we get the substitute. You got a substitute, Lynn? I don't think we need to.
I've got a copy if you want to
Well, we
run
don't-
copies real quick, Mr. Chairman.
Can you tell us the difference?
I absolutely can, yes,
Sure.
sir.
Go ahead.
Is that all right, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, 'cause then we can vote it out
Okay.
in the ante room.
Okay. Well, actually, half of the question you asked was addressed, so, in the substitute.
Is this still in the new substitute or not? 3839?
The two changes, and the biggest the biggest change was, as Senator Stone said, your traditional model is you move in and live independently, and this would allow you to get some either home health or case management in your home. And so the reference you made to the lodging of the food is you may get Meals on Wheels at home, or you
Gotcha.
might actually come into the campus to participate in some of their activities, including food. The lodging was dropped because that didn't make sense within the context of providing it in someone's home off campus. The lodging that's provided is left over from when your health deteriorates and you go into assisted living or personal. You have one of these in your district, in Airville.
Got a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, and so the lodging part is actually when you're obviously if you're in a personal care home or nursing home on campus, they're providing you lodging.
Okay, so you're talking about more like day services. Is that what you're
Yes, sir.
referring to? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, number 20.
Actually, that was one of the things asking. You know, we had legislation that I helped with years ago, and so I see this as a good bill. It just continues service to seniors when they go back to their home, and a little bit of a void that was there. And I appreciate you bringing this bill.
Thank you. As Senator Stone said, the big change is that in the past this has been really for pretty well-off people who are in the typical entry fee is going to be $350,000 or something like that. In this case, you can reserve a spot in nursing home care for maybe $25,000 or $30,000 and stay in your home. So that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Number 18.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My concern is about the oversight. Who will oversee these type of arrangements? Because you have a lot of it being done in-home on a one-on-one type basis. Will the facility that they eventually go in be ultimately responsible, or what?
Well, yes, ma'am.
They're under the same requirements for
Use the microphone.
a licensed home health care provider. So there's oversight from that direction, in addition to what's provided through normal regulation of CCRCs.
What's a little bit different about these facilities is there's sort of a dual regulation. The insurance department handles all the financial security and all that, but if you're running a nursing home, if you're running an assisted living community, you're going to have to meet all the Department of Community Health regulations, and they're going to be inspecting and monitoring. And so in the same similar vein, the private home care provider, either you would provide it or you would contract with the licensed private home care provider. So all the current quality control structures are in place in terms of health care and insurance care, if you will.
Thank you.
19.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Stone, I'm a little confused on the copy we've got here. Maybe y'all got something different, but on page 2, line 30, it says such terms shall not include continuing care at home. And then we go down through here and talk about all the continuing care at home issues, and then on page 70, line 70, it says the same thing. What? Help me understand that. Is that
I can help you to. Yeah, to be quite honest with you, Representative Maxwell, this is a complicated statute that had I been in legislative council, I might not have drafted it this way last year. But the way these definitions work is the continuing care agreement covers something called continuing care. It also covers limited continuing care, and if you were to pass this bill, continuing care at home. And its semantics is the best I could do. I could ask Mr. Bundrick to get with you.
Okay, if y'all think it's right,
It's yes, sir. It is. We've gone over it multiple times, and the what you don't have in front of you, the correction makes sure that continuing care at home is under the continuing care agreement.
Okay.
Continuing care is not is a defined term.
That's a broader term?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Continuing care at home.
Okay.
I will tell you that it's probably the most complicated statute that I've dealt with down here. And I think Mr. Shaw's subcommittee dealt with a little bit of that this time with Mr. Jacobs presenting the bill.
23.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Some of my questions have been addressed, but I want to look at the licensing part of it. And again, you're looking at it being split, I guess. Some of it's insurance, some of it is going to be facilities that are already being looked at and reviewed. Does this touch on anything to do with some of these homes I know in my community that we have had that are non-licensed? Will this in any way touch those or help to stop those? And when it says they're in a private home, what we've seen is some elderly that are like in a rooming house, and they're not a licensed facility. And it looks like this bill is only addressing licensed facilities that are going to allow people to go into the homes and serve it. It does not do anything for these people that are just in somebody's house and somebody's getting their money.
That would sort of be a complementary question to what Representative Hughley was asking.
Right.
And the regulation of the whole industry in terms of personal care homes, and the General Assembly has clamped down, I believe last year you passed a bill making it a felony to operate a personal care home without a license.
We have actually shut some down in my community,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to see how this fit in. But this is just for the organized, already existing.
Yes, ma'am. Well, and I think the easiest way to answer that is, for better or worse, is these are very much upscale facilities, so they're not under the radar screen at all.
All right, thank you.
Is he going to get the new or the correct version? Okay. All right, what we'll do, we will, Senator, do you have the correct version?
I do.
Okay. Okay, if you'll give it to, we will take a look at that, and I'll probably call a meeting in the anteroom just to hand everybody out one of these and let's take a look at it and then go ahead and take a vote on it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Thank you.
Are there any, Lynn, have you had a chance to look at this?
Well, I understand it was corrected by another council.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, if need be, we'll call another special meeting. We still got 4 days. We'll go ahead and get it out. I've got one of these facilities in Columbus, and they do an outstanding job. All right. Any other questions or anything else good for the order? All right. Well, this meeting stands adjourned. We'll take another look at that particular bill as soon as we get the final version. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.